This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for July 9th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. Yikes. The bullpen is a problem right now. And going into the season, it was supposed to be a strength of this team, but man, bullpen did them no favors, specifically Jose Alvarado and Tanner Banks. I think it's more of a left-handed problem. I just don't know, but man, they turned a close game into a blowout as the Phils lose 11-5. It was a bullpen game to begin with, so they need help. They absolutely need help. And as much as we'd like a bat, as much as we'd like a right-handed hitter that has some pop, this bullpen and this pitching staff, to get through the rest of the season, they're going to need, I think, a fifth starter. They certainly need bullpen help, and I don't know, because they need those key pieces, and they don't have a ton in the farm system. And I said it before, I'm going to say it again. I say at this point, go all in. I mean, this team is too good to not do it. And I know we were all upset. I know we were all not happy with Ruben Amaro Jr. But one thing Ruben did, he said, F it, I'm going for it. And that's what I need Dombrowski to do right now. There's no way of knowing if there's going to be a full season, half season, part season next year. I think you need to go all in. And if that means depleting the system, so be it. I'm excited to see what Gage Wood does. I don't know why that's so hard to say. Gage Wood does in the Futures game this weekend. Is it possible that he's the fifth starter? I don't know. Painter, I guess, is getting better, but they need something. Can they? And I know a lot of these pitchers don't like to do it. Maybe they just put starters in the bullpen. I don't know what the solution is, but this could be an issue. And to come this far, turn it around this much, to not go for it, I think you have to do it. And I think you pull Page out of Howie Roseman, you pull Page out of Mike Gansey, you pull Page, even if it means trading a starter that you have now. Maybe you package one of your guys. Again, I don't know who's really going to want, but Alec Boehm has turned it around. Maybe you do that. I think you got to do something outside of the box here, because what you've been doing, we've seen how it works out. So maybe you do something outside of the box. I don't know, but it's going to be an interesting couple weeks. Here for Dave Dombrowski. Interesting with Trey Turner getting a day off. Bryce Harper hit leadoff. I like that lineup. I think I might switch Marsh. And I mean, obviously you have three lefties in a row. It's not going to be consistent like that. But I like some combination of Bryce, somebody, and then Schwarber. Maybe Bryce, Trey, Kyle. I don't know. I liked it. It was outside of the box. That's what this team needs right now, because the status quo that they've been doing has not been working. So I would say any and all options should be on the table. All right, some Sixers news. Summer League gets under action tonight. They play the Pistons team at 5:30. I believe it was on Amazon Prime, but again, with the way the streaming is, I think it's on Amazon Prime, but I do think it might be on NBC Sports Plus. I don't think it's a regular TV. You're going to have to use an app to watch it. We get our first look at LeBron Philon Jr. tonight. Excited for that. Lots of rumors and speculation, and it's crazy to be this far into the LeBron sweepstakes and have the Sixers still as one of the major players and teams that I'm talking about, or that they're talking about. And honestly, I don't think anybody has a clue except for LeBron and Rich Paul. And I could be way off base with this, but I think the longer that it sort of goes on, the better the Sixers' chances are. Because I feel if he was going to go back home to Cleveland, I was reading an article where, like, this is the week usually that he makes the announcements, like the decision and all that. So I feel as though he would have announced that. Maybe there's some other things with some of the other teams going on. We'll see. But that led to a lot of speculation about Joel Embiid, and maybe that's part of what's holding this up. And again, maybe I'm missing it. And if I am, hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. And this could 100%, I usually don't say stuff like this, but this could be me in wearing my Sixers Joel Embiid colored glasses and not recognizing the obvious, maybe not wanting to recognize the obvious. But Joe has not been very active on Twitter over the past few months anyway. I didn't go in and look at, because I don't even know if you can do that, but like retweets and things like that. But he hasn't posted much on Twitter over the past 3 months. So for him to be silent, I don't know. And again, this could be, and if this is me being Mr. Sixer, let me know. Mr. Joel Embiid, Mr. Process, let me know, because maybe I'm missing it. But maybe he's just getting older. Maybe he's maturing. It does happen. But to kind of speculate that that's why LeBron's not coming here, to speculate that he's pissed off about Jaylen Brown and that's why he's not saying anything, I don't get it. I think we're trying too hard to connect the dots, and I think we're sort of spurned by the Diana Rossini thing, where there was truth to what she was spewing. We know it was probably way more truth. Anyway, not going there, but I just don't know. So we'll see what happens. I expect that this week or soon we should hear. 1 minute it's Cleveland, 1 minute it's the Sixers, and I don't think anybody has a clue, because I forget the guy's name, Windhurst, on ESPN. He was like, well, this is just my vibe. Well, come on. This is what we're reporting. We're reporting on vibes and not facts. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there's something out there. I don't know. But would love to know your thoughts on that, and let me know if I'm just being Mr. Process Truther. 267-495-8531. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. is the deadline for Leo Carlsson or the Ducks, I should say, to sign Leo Carlsson's offer sheet. Not really sure what to expect on that. I know I was able to confirm, because there was different conflicting reports, and it be completely transparent. This is according to AI, Google Gemini. The way the CBA is written, it's very strict. Flyers do not lose the pick they got from the Maple Leafs for next year. So they lose 4 consecutive of their own first-round picks. So they'll still have a first-round pick next year, which makes me like this offer even more. I don't know whether the Ducks, if they are going to sign it, are going to announce it today, or if they're not going to sign it, they're just going to make the Flyers sweat it out because Danny Briere came off the top rope. But we'll see. We're about 24 hours away from finding out if we won the Leo Carlsson sweepstakes or not. All right, yesterday's trivia question, we talked about Happy Birthday Eagles and the green jerseys. Their original colors were blue. They introduced the Kelly green in 1935, and then they alternated with the blue jerseys. And in 1937, they switched to the Kelly green jerseys, and they wore some form of Kelly Green from 1937 all the way up to 1996. Thank you to everybody who reached out for that. Some quick housekeeping notes. Of course, always follow me on every social media platform at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philly Jimbo as well. That was a big get this month. Very excited about that. And finally, there is a new episode of the Philly Hall out. Steve and I talked the World Cup experience in Philly. So go check that out anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And if you want, in order to kind of grow the Philly Sports Hall of Fame YouTube channel, all the videos and everything, and it's worth checking out because I've been adding, I did some things for a basketball project. There are other videos other than the podcasts on there. So you can go to my YouTube at Philly Jimbo. There's a button that clicks and takes you right to the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame YouTube channel. So go check out the podcast there, some of the other cool videos that are up there. But Philly Hall is out, and barring something unforeseen, Kyle and I will do our final Brotherly Birds breakdown before we start getting into this upcoming season, kind of wrap up the off season, get you ready for training camp. Still trying to figure out our official when we're going every week again. Not probably once the preseason games start. Still got to discuss that with him, but it's time. It means summer's winding down. So go check all that out. Like, subscribe, hit all the buttons on all the channels and everything, and you'll help us out great. Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. All right, July 9th. First, we're going to go back to 1957. And on this day in 1957, it was the Major League Baseball All-Star Game in St. Louis. The Phillies were represented by pitchers Curt Simmons and Jack Sanford. Curt Simmons got the start, pitched 1+ innings, had a 1-2-3 first, and then things got a little rocky in the second. 2 singles, 2 walks, and a run before being pulled. That was the difference in the game, as the American League wins it 6-5. Curt Simmons took the loss. Sanford did also pitch an inning, gave up a run. But more importantly, this was the 7th time in 8 years that a Philly was the starting pitcher in the All-Star game. Robin Roberts did it 5 times, and this was the 2nd time for Curt Simmons. So not a good showing for Sanford and Simmons, but still a pretty good honor to be have one of your starting pitchers 7 out of the 8 years. Pretty much the entire 50s of Phillies pitcher started the All-Star game, which is pretty cool. And by the way, Sanford and Simmons sounds like a good spin-off for Sanford and Son. Just saying. They're updating all the other shows. Why not update Sanford and Son? Sanford and Simmons. I don't know. Whatever. Leave me alone. Fast forward then to 1968. Sixers trade Wilt Chamberlain to the Lakers for Darryl Imhoff, Archie Clark, Jerry Chambers, and some cash, mostly because Wilt was unhappy. And Wilt was unhappy for a few reasons. One, he was promised by Ike Richmond. They had a handshake agreement. He was one of the owners of the Sixers, 50% of ownership stock. And it was unclear whether it was 50% of his ownership stock or 50% in general when he retired. Unfortunately, Richmond died, and the other owner, Irv Kozlov, didn't know anything about it. There was no proof. Essentially said it was illegal anyway. So that Wilt demanded a trade and won it out. They weren't going to trade him. And then he demanded, his contract was up, so he demanded $250,000. And if you don't pay me, threatened to go to the ABA. So that got the Sixers' attention because they're like, all right, we got to do something. We don't want him walking away to the ABA and get nothing out of it. Did say he wanted to go to LA. He had some family out there, fit more his lifestyle and post-playing goals anyway. And then the third reason was Dr. Jack Ramsey I don't know if he was doctor yet, but was the Sixers' new GM. And he wanted to run more of a fast-paced tempo offense instead of running the half court where Wilt was the centerpiece of the offense. Didn't think Wilt had the longevity to run his style of offense and play with those players, and felt he was just going to slow down whatever progress that he wanted. So when the dust settled, it was Wilt going to LA, getting his wish, and the Sixers kind of at that point 1 year removed from winning the championship. We're only 4 years removed from being the worst team in, I guess, 5 years, but either way, the worst team in NBA history. But Wilt Chamberlain traded on this day in 1968. I know a lot of folks, my dad and uncle's age, were not happy when this happened. And then we're going to fast forward all the way to 1996, and the Major League Baseball All-Star Game was in Philly. This is the last time it was in Philly, and it was played at the Vet. Phillies were not good in 1996, so their lone representative was Ricky Bottalico. Some key things from this All-Star Game, and I always say this, but because if you can see over my left-hand shoulder that way, that is Ozzie Smith. I was a huge Ozzie Smith fan when I was a kid, played shortstop, always wore, and every chance I get, I always wear number 1 for Ozzie Smith, but this was his final All-Star Game. Cal Ripken was in the middle of his streak. He broke his nose during the pregame, but did play in the All-Star Game. Kelsey Grammer sang the national anthem. Jim Bunning, Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, Richie Ashburn, and Robin Roberts throughout the ceremonial first pitches. It was Joe Carter's return to Philly, and he was booed mercifully, whatever the word is. He was lots of boos rained down on Joe Carter that day. Not sure why, I can't speak today, but the National League did win it 6-0. Ricky Bo, to his credit, did pitch 1 scoreless inning, but that was the last time until next Tuesday that the All-Star Game was in Philly. And that does lead us to today's trivia question. Who was the MVP of that All-Star Game in 1996 in Philly? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. But who was the MVP of the 96 All-Star Game? Then we'll go to 2010. Phillies were down 7-1 to the Reds in the bottom of the ninth, but then home runs by Greg Dobbs and Cody Ransom helped a 6-1 rally to send it to extras, where Ryan Howard hit a 2-run walk-off in the bottom of the ninth to win it for the Phils. They won it 9-7. It was their second straight walk-off against the Reds. They would have another one the next day. So 3 straight walk-offs against the Reds, and they would win the fourth game, a 4-game sweep of the Reds, all 3 of them by walk-offs. But on this day, they overcome a 7-1 deficit in the ninth to win it on Ryan Howard's 2-run homer in the bottom of the 10th. And then we'll go to 2024. Trey Turner hit a grand slam. Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh also homered. And Zach Wheeler went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. It was his 10th win of the season, joining Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola, not Andrew Nola, Aaron Nola, as the first. It was the first time in team history that they had 10 pitchers win 10. We'll get this right today. Jeez. It was the first time they had 3 pitchers with 10 wins before the All-Star break. Back when Aaron Nola wasn't a liability out there. But that happened on this day in 2024. All right, it is Thursday. Time for a little Throwback Thursday, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And in honor of the World Cup, I saw this article in the Inquirer the other day, and I want to talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Fury. They were part of the North American Soccer League, came into existence in 1978, and the story is great. They were only around for 3 years, but they were essentially like a rock and roll team. They were owned by Peter Frampton, Paul Simon, Paul Wakeman, like a group of just rock stars. They played their games at the Vet, The atmosphere was incredible. Obviously, the players were regulars at their concerts at JFK Stadium. Just really like a cool, trying to make soccer cool, essentially. But on the field, the vibes were better than what the team were. They did make the playoffs 2 years. 1 year they made it to the semifinals in 1979. But really, due to, I guess, the novelty of being owned by rock stars and the fact that it was soccer in the late 70s, it kind of wore off and attendance declined. They did do some rock star type things to try to turn it around. I guess they were appealing to the ladies on this one, but they 1 year they wore shorts that were a couple inches shorter than what everybody else was wearing. If you know anything about, if you've ever seen photos from the 70s, you were alive in the 70s, the shorts were short in the 70s, so they were going for that sex appeal, pulling up the shorts a little bit. They wore tight shirts to show off their muscles. It didn't work. I'm sure the ladies loved it, but it did not work. And then ultimately, I think the team, it didn't fold. I think it moved to Montreal, if I remember the article correctly. But it was a good article, well written. But the Philadelphia Fury, the rock star soccer team, I guess you could call it, in Philly in the late 70s. Maybe the Union could do something similar. That was one of the things we talked about on the Philly Hall yesterday. Just ways to build up soccer and continue the momentum. And it's hard in Philly. But they tried, and Peter Frampton, Paul Simon, I'm glad I didn't see any photos of those short shorts, but the Philadelphia Fury is today's Throwback Thursday topic. Brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery and scroll through their sites. They've already have Jaylen Brown shirts. They got you covered. The new shirts. It's just they're literally a machine over there, and they never disappoint with the shirts. They got All-Star shirts for all the guys in the All-Star game. If you're looking for a cool piece too, for like a man cave or an office, they team with Jordan Spector. There's a couple really cool looking all-star pieces. So go check out the site, phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. And then finally today, our tournament. First, brought to you by beachcaddy.app. Let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. If you're in Sea Isle, Wildwood, Ocean City, Avalon, or Stone Harbor, they got you covered, and they'll move your stuff in. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. Think about this. Nobody wants to move the stuff in. They will have their team take the stuff from your car, and if you're like on a third-floor condo or a third-floor apartment, they will literally carry your stuff up the steps if there's no elevator. It doesn't matter if it's 90 degrees, 110, 75. They'll take care of it for you. Go have a drink. Let them do it. They'll turn on the air conditioner. By the time you're ready to unpack, be nice and cool. And then pack your stuff up, and they'll move you out and put it back in your car for you. You can't beat that. Best beach carts on the Jersey Shore, too. We've all been there, especially if you have kids. You know how much of a pain in the ass it is to carry your stuff to the beach. These beach carts are huge. They're easy to pull, and they just glide across the sand. So go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% in your move-in, move-out service, as well as your beach cart rentals. All right, yesterday's result, it was DeJuan Wagner with 100% of the vote. Nobody, and this was just one of those matchups. Wayne Ellington was a hell of a player, but DeJuan Wagner was an absolute stud in high school, perhaps a little underrated as well. So DeJuan Wagner moves on. Today we go to the final round of 32 matchup in the Overbrook region, and it's the number 1 seed, Wilt Chamberlain, taking on Eddie Griffin. Let's start with Wilt. Obviously went to Overbrook, a southeastern Pennsylvania scoring record until it was broken by Kobe Bryant. He had games where he scored 90, 78, and 74 in high school. 3 public league championships, 2 city championships, public league versus Catholic league. He was also a track star. Was a hell of a high jumper, broad jump, 400-yard, I guess it was 440-yard dash. Was just a great athlete and just very athletic. During his time at Overbrook, they lost 3 games total, 56-3 during his time there. Averaged 40 points per game as a senior. He was 1955 Mr. Basketball USA. Averaged 37 points throughout his entire high school career. From Overbrook, he went to Kansas, where he was 2-time All-Big 8, 2-time All-American, most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament as a runner-up. Was bored at Kansas, wanted to go pro, but due to NBA rules, he wasn't allowed to. So he spent a year with the Globetrotters and was just Wilt for the Globetrotters. In the following draft, he was the territorial pick of the Philadelphia Warriors. He's a 2-time NBA champion, 4-time MVP, 13-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA. He's won the scoring championship 7 times. He's on the 35th, 50th, and 75th All-NBA anniversary teams. Kansas, the Globetrotters, the Lakers, the Sixers, the Warriors all have retired his number. He's in the Naismith Hall of Fame and the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and essentially changed the rules of basketball forever. They had to widen lanes. They changed goaltending rules, all kinds of stuff because of Wilt Chamberlain. He's taken on Eddie Griffin, who went to Roman Catholic, led them to back-to-back Catholic League championships. He was Parade National Player of the Year, a McDonald's All-American, the number 1 recruit in the country, scored over 16 points at Roman, went to Seton Hall, where he was Sporting News Freshman of the Year, was a 7th-round pick before being traded to the Rockets, made all-rookie team before some of his demons sort of got the best of him. But now it's your turn. Who moves on, Wilt Chamberlain or Eddie Griffin? Get your vote in any way you can. Back to the Future Voice and Text line, 267-495-8531, or any of my social medias. You can go to the Discord channel as well. The link is in the description. Come over. We talk Philly sports. Lots of posting of tweets and speculation and things like that. So it's always a good time. But who moves on, Wilt Chamberlain or Eddie Griffin? On this day in 2024, Zach Wheeler wins his 10th game, giving the Phillies 3 pitchers with 10 wins before the All-Star break for the first time in franchise history. In 2010, Ryan Howard hit a walk-off homer in the bottom of the 10th, helping the Phillies erase a 7-1 deficit going into the 9th. The 1996 All-Star Game was played on this day at Veterans Stadium. Ricky Bo was the only Phillies representative. And the trivia question, of course, who was the MVP of that game? Wilt Chamberlain traded from the Sixers to the Lakers in 1968, and Kurt Simmons and Jack Sanford didn't fare too well, but both represented the Phillies on this day in the 1957 All-Star Game. We will be back tomorrow. It is Friday, a feel-good Friday. We'll continue our look at the 66-67 Sixers as they take on I think it's the 16-17 or 15-16 Warriors, kind of concluding, not concluding that. We are going to put them up against this year's Knicks team just to see what would happen. But we'll spend Fridays with AI. Hopefully we get an update on the Leo Carlson situation. We'll recap what LeBaron Philon did in Summer League. And of course, hopefully the Phillies are able to take this series against the Reds. Jesus Luzardo on the mound today. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 9th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.